English 5 Quent 1. Root and etymology. Root. Quent comes from the Latin verb quire, to go, to come, to be, a bull, which is more commonly seen in the form seek or sequi, meaning to follow. However, in English, quent is most often seen in words derived from sequi through forms like sequent, consequent, and frequent. The root carries the idea of following, sequence, or repetition. 2. Inflected forms. The root quent does not have direct inflected forms but appears in adjectives and nouns such as sequent, consequent, frequent, etc., which can be pluralized or modified as needed. 3. Derivatives. Sequent, seek, following, being. Consequent can together with sequent, following. Consequence, consequent ins a noun suffix. Subsequent, sub under after sequent, following. Frequent, frequoffenant, being. Frequency, frequents a noun suffix. Infrequent, in it, frequent. 4. Explanation and example sentences for each derivative. 1. Sequent, seek, following, being. Definition: following in order. Something that comes next in a sequence. Example sentences: the sequent events changed history. Each sequent chapter builds on the last. They analyze the sequent steps in the process. The sequent numbers form a pattern. Every sequent stage is important. In mathematics, sequent terms follow a rule. The sequent day brought new challenges. He wrote a sequent article for the magazine. The story's sequent developments were unexpected. Sequent generations may benefit from this discovery. A sequent reaction occurred in the experiment. Their sequent meetings improved communication. We studied the sequent movements in the dance. She explained the sequent phases of the project. The sequent lessons will cover grammar. Each sequent layer adds strength. He observed the sequent changes in weather. The sequent round of interviews is next week. Sequent waves crashed onto the shore. The sequent discussion focused on finances. 2. Consequent can together with sequent, following. Definition: happening as a result of something else. Following as an effect or outcome. Example sentences: their actions had consequent effects. The storm and its consequent flooding caused damage. She lost her job and suffered consequent stress. The fire and consequent smoke made breathing difficult. He made a mistake and the consequent problems were serious. The economy weakened with consequent job losses. There was a delay and a consequent change of plans. The medication has consequent side effects. The accident and consequent investigation took months. They faced consequent challenges after the merger. Her absence and consequent confusion delayed the meeting. Consequent decisions must be made carefully. The disease and consequent symptoms worried doctors. He missed the deadline and faced consequent penalties. The law changed and consequent regulations were introduced. His lies and their consequent distrust hurt the team. The loss and consequent sadness affected everyone. The error and its consequent correction took time. She made a choice and handled the consequent responsibilities. The storm and consequent power outage lasted hours. 3. Consequence, consequent ins a noun suffix. Definition: the result or effect of an action or condition. Example sentences: every action has a consequence. He faced the consequence of his decision. There are serious consequences for cheating. The consequence of the storm was major flooding. She did not expect such a consequence. His words had a lasting consequence. They suffered consequences for their actions. The consequence of neglect can be severe. Positive consequences followed the new policy. Her kindness brought good consequences. The consequence of the experiment was surprising. There are consequences to breaking the law. He accepts the consequences of his choices. The consequence of the error was obvious. Actions often have unintended consequences. They learned about cause and consequence. The consequence of the conflict was peace. She understood the consequence of her refusal. Every decision carries a consequence. The consequence of pollution is environmental damage. 4. Subsequent, sub under after sequent, following. Definition: coming after something in time, following. Example sentences: subsequent events proved him right. They met in January and in subsequent months. Her injury and subsequent recovery inspired many. The first meeting was brief. but subsequent ones were longer. Subsequent chapters explain the details. Their team improved in subsequent games. Subsequent investigations found new evidence. The storm and subsequent flooding were severe. He apologized and in subsequent days was more careful. The report and subsequent review led to changes. Subsequent visits were more enjoyable, they moved and subsequent adjustments took time. Subsequent generations will remember this event. The first attempt failed, but subsequent tries succeeded. Subsequent research confirmed the findings. Her speech and subsequent applause lasted minutes. Subsequent decisions were influenced by the result. The company grew in subsequent years. Subsequent developments made headlines. The policy and subsequent debates continued for months. 5. Frequent frequent being. Definition: happening, often repeated, occurring at short intervals. Example sentences: she is a frequent visitor to the library. Frequent breaks help with concentration. His frequent travels kept him busy. The trains are frequent in this city. Frequent rain showers occur in spring. He made frequent phone calls home. The park sees frequent visitors. Their frequent arguments worried friends. Frequent updates keep the app current. Frequent changes confuse employees. She makes frequent mistakes in math. The team holds frequent meetings. Frequent flyers get special rewards. Frequent headaches can be a symptom. Frequent testing improves performance. The buses run at frequent intervals. He gets frequent colds in winter. Frequent power outages are a problem. The festival has frequent performances. She gives frequent feedback to her students. 6. Frequency. Frequency noun suffix. Definition: the rate at which something occurs or is repeated over a particular period. Example sentences: the frequency of storms has increased. Radio stations broadcast at different frequencies. She monitors the frequency of her workouts. High frequency sounds can be hard to hear. The frequency of train arrivals is every 10 minutes. Frequency varies by location. The frequency of meetings was reduced. They measured the frequency of the signal. In physics, frequency is measured in hertz. The frequency of errors decreased. He worries about the frequency of his headaches. Frequency tables help organize data. The frequency of use affects the device's lifespan. She noted the frequency of customer complaints. The frequency of visits dropped. The frequency of updates is weekly. The frequency of the noise bothered him. We checked the frequency of the event. The frequency of rainfall is highest in July. Her frequency of absence was noted in her report. 7. Infrequent. Frequent. Definition: not happening, often, rare, occurring at long intervals. Example sentences: infrequent visitors are always welcome. Her absences are infrequent. Infrequent rain makes the area dry. They took infrequent trips abroad. Infrequent updates leave software outdated. He receives infrequent emails from friends. Infrequent meetings can cause confusion. The buses are infrequent on Sundays. She makes infrequent mistakes. Infrequent storms hit the region. Infrequent maintenance led to problems. His calls became infrequent. The park gets infrequent use in winter. Infrequent interruptions help productivity. She travels infrequently due to work. Infrequent meals can be unhealthy. Infrequent opportunities require quick action. The lake experiences infrequent floods. He is an infrequent guest at parties. Infrequent communication strain their relationship.